Hello, this is Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and today is the first day of the new year, January 1st, 2024. And I'm going to do a reading today using some objects for you to choose from. We're going to do some tarot cards, and then we will do Hebrunes as well. So the way we're going to do it today is we're going to look at these sparkly objects that I've chosen, and you get to choose one of those sparkly objects. And then we're going to pull from this bowl of slips of paper which deck of tarot cards is going to represent each of these objects. And then we'll do a Hebrunes reading based on all of those things together about what is drawing you into the new year, which sparkly thing is most attractive to you this year, and how is that going to play out for you in the near future. So let's take a look at our objects. The first one I have is this Rhinestone Brooch. It's all shiny and sparkly and lit up like the snow or the sunshine coming in this new year of 2024. For object number 2, we have the disco ball that is all lined with mirrors and drawing you toward the new year. And for number 3, we have this rhinestone hair clip that looks a little bit like 3 different flowers and a little bit of extra bling on the end here. So take a moment to decide which of these 3 objects is calling to you today. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see them better. And then I'll put the timestamps down below, and you can click on that and it will take you directly to your reading, whichever one is calling to you. And I will see you there. Hello, object number 1. We have this beautiful rhinestone brooch. And I believe this came from a jewelry box that I inherited from one of the elders in my family. It is beautiful, and it has all of these kind of swirling rhinestone design to it. Just a simple pin on the back. But it kind of, to me, looks a little bit like the sun. It looks a little bit like that source energy and all that glitters. All that glitters here. So this is our first object. We're going to set this off to the side over here. And we're going to take our bowl of decks and we're going to shuffle it up and see which one is the right deck for you today. Let's see which one comes out. We'll go with this one here. And I'll go find that. Oh, it's the Tiny Tarot. Okay. Hold on one moment while I go grab that. Okay, so we have the Tiny Tarot. It's very small. You can see how big it is in the palm of my hand. I don't actually know who the name of the designer is, but I really like it because it's so small. And we'll shuffle up a little bit and we'll pull out one card for our general energy today before we get our Hebrunes down. This came perforated on a sheet of paper, and I've been working with it for many years. So there's our Tiny Tarot card. And our general energy for you for this coming year of 2024 is the moon. How beautiful is that? In this particular deck, we have the moon. You can see below it is flying an owl. Again, another source of mystery. The moon in all its glory. And it's got a little bit of a sprout here on the upper left too, which I love, that it does have that sign of growth. The moon is the object in the heavens that transforms throughout the month. It seems to go away and then it seems to return, but it's always there whether we can see it or not. And it is the number 18 in this deck, XVIII, number 18, which has that affiliation in Hebrew with the word Chai, Chet Yud, life. I love that for you. So we'll set the moon right here. next to your object, and we're going to take our Hebrunes, and I chose the birch Hebrunes today because of the newness of the year. In the Nordic runes, the Berkana, the birch, is the rune that represents new beginnings. So let me shuffle those up inside the bag, shake them around. I'm going to pull out 3 today and see what is up for you in the coming of 2024. So at the top we have the letter Tav, perfect. In the center, jumped into my hand, we have the letter Lamed. And let's see what the bottom is. And at the bottom of our reading we have the Ein Sof, very nice. So at the top of our reading we have the letter Tav. Tav is the final letter of the Aleph Bet. And it is the letter that rules over the moon. That's the first thing that came to mind for me, because here we have the moon card, and that moon is this idea of mystery, but transformation. Tav, being the final letter of the Aleph Bet, does speak to endings, just like we finished 2023 here, and new beginnings, because it is this transformation letter of the moon that, again, appears to arrive and then disappear. Goes into fullness and then it wanes back down into darkness. And I love that for the Tav. The Tav, again, representing the ending, the final letter of the Aleph Bet, and then again coming back into its fullness each month. The Tav is the letter that some say has this additional connotation of judgment, because it looks a little bit like a dalet and a nun, which spells din or din, meaning judgment. And so there's this concept of, with the endness of the Tav representing a final judgment on a thing. So it's about completion, a stamp or a seal on the Aleph Bet itself. The Aleph Bet, which is said to have been used to create the universe. So we have this creation element here, and the completion of that creation, as well as the signature on that creation. So something is coming to an end, something has come to an end, and there's this flourishing of a signature or a stamp on it. And I think of it in terms also of past generations being stamped onto us with the brooch here of this ancestral kind of jewelry. We have this stamping of the ancestors and their behaviors and DNA into our own bodies and our own DNA. So something is up with that, with regards to calling in the ancestors or receiving what is gifted to you from your ancestors right now in the form of deen, in the form of judgments that have come in the past, in the form of generations stamped into our DNA from this final letter of the Aleph Bet. I think of Tav as corresponding to the patriarch Avraham, who is another one of our ancestors, whether it be a physical ancestor or a spiritual ancestor, Avraham, because he sealed so many covenants. He went from place to place making arrangements with people who were landowners and setting up altars to the various names of the divine. And so Avraham is this ancestral character who signed many contracts and covenants as he walked through on the journey to where the divine had sent him. Because when the divine said go, they didn't say go to the specific coordinates. They said go, and I will show you the place. So Tav is got that connotation in it too, following the moon, following the paths of the ancestors, following the divine to where we are sent. And as I said, the Tav represents the moon in the sky. Each of the letters has a celestial body affiliated with it. And so for me, when I think of the moon card, I think of the letter Tav, because when I sat with each of the letters and how they correspond to tarot, the moon is what came up for me, because it has this idea of the transformation property. But the moon itself, the moon card itself, has this connotation of the unconscious, the intuition, and the shadow self that is maybe hidden or is revealed when one finds oneself in a position of judgment. So there's this ending and a new beginning that's happening with the Tav. That's what's up right now for you in your reading. In the center of the reading, we have the letter Lamed. Lamed, this is the position of what is a challenge or a fear right now. And Lamed is the letter that represents heart. It's the letter that is the first letter of the word Lev. And Lev in the ancient times didn't just mean your physical heart in your chest. It was the heart mind. The mind that one uses and feels intuitively in the body. And since this is in the position of a challenge or a fear right now, I think of Lamed being this concern, maybe that we're not being able to hear our heart, that maybe our heart mind has been clouded or blocked with mystery, with the unknown, with the issues that have been brought forward from our ancestors, that maybe we're having a little bit of a challenge and not being able to hear our hearts, that we are reaching up with heart for divinity, but since it is in this position of the fear or challenge, maybe we're not feeling that connection right now. We still need to reach up, but maybe we've lost some kind of hope. I see Lamed as corresponding to the star card in tarot. So that idea of the moon and the star, but the star is so far away, and maybe we haven't, we're not feeling the aspiration and the optimism that we might as we step into this new year. And it is important then to remember that transformations happen, that the moon appears to disappear but then reappear. So even if we're not feeling the hope right now, if we're not feeling that connection with the divine, it's important still to trust in it. The Lamed is the letter that is affiliated with the digestive system or the intestines in the body. So I think of it as taking in what we have and absorbing that, discerning what is nutritious and what is not, and then releasing that which hasn't worked for us. And this is a great time of year to be doing that as we step into January 1st, to really take some time to discern what has been working for you and what has not been working for you. Let go of the old and really embrace the new. Lamed is affiliated with the tribe of Ephraim, who is one of the sons of Joseph, the grandson of Yaakov, Jacob. And we just went over this last week in the Torah portion of the blessings of the children, the grandchildren of Jacob. And Jacob elevated Ephraim above his brother. And the second son of Joseph was made to be the first son on purpose. This is a choice that Yaakov made, similar to his own taking of the birthright from his brother Esau. It happens over and over again in the Torah where the younger son inherits and becomes greater than the elder. And I think there's something here that there's a fear around that there's a challenge around that maybe we're afraid that if we are born second or coming in second, that we won't be elevated. But we can remember that this happens over and over in Torah, that which appears lowly is elevated up. So it's about being elevated. And maybe, again, there's a fear if you're the eldest that you're going to not be elevated, because that happens over and over in Torah. But it doesn't matter who is elevated. What matters is reaching out with heart and accepting what has been gifted to you. Accepting what has been gifted to you, even if it feels like it's maybe not what you were expecting or not enough. And accept with heart what has been given. And that can be challenging, but let go of what isn't serving you and move forward to the next thing. We don't have to rely on our ancestors or our parents to create our path. We do have to accept the path that has been laid out for us so far. And then we get to make choices. Once we recognize our gifts from our ancestors, we get to decide what to do with them. We can decide whether we want to keep them or throw them out or give them to another, pass them on as is, or transform them in some way into something more healthy, something more nutritious for us. So if you're challenged right now with heart mind, if you're challenged with elevation, if you're challenged with receiving things that maybe appear not exactly as you wish, you can take that in and digest it and decide what to do with it at that point. And our final letter in the reading for you who chose the Rhinestone Brooch is the Ein Sof. And I think this is gorgeous. It is the letter that is no letter. It is this blank slate. In this particular set, we have a mark on the back, but it is just blankness. It is the substrate onto which all the letters are carved. So it represents the unendingness, the void, and the tohu vavohu, the unformed. And that's perfect for this year, because here we are stepping into something new. We have no idea how it's going to play out. We cannot know. It's chaos right now. It's just this boundlessness, this timelessness that stretches out before us. But it does represent the infinite. It represents the stuff of the divine, because everything is made of God stuff. Everything, all those atoms, everything is created of the energy that is the universe, that is the divine. So we can trust that even if we cannot see right now how that's going to play out, that the infinite has a hand in this, that the infinite is the stuff out of which all things are created. It is the all existence and all of matter and all of time is fashioned from oneness. That there is this idea of contraction, that the divine, when creating the universe, had to contract themselves down into one point in order that there be space. This is the space for creation. So there's this idea of emptiness and nothingness, but infinite space, the infinity here. There is no correspondence in tarot to the blankness of the Ein Sof. But in the Nordic runes there is a blank called weird. And that's where the word weird comes from. And I love this, that it's about fate and destiny and the zero and the void and this idea of infinite possibility. So as we step into the new year, this is lovely for those of you who chose this spiral brooch of shininess, and the it's shiny and it's attractive, but unknown, unseen, this constant spiral of time that exists. And we have an ending that's just occurred. We have maybe some judgment. Maybe we need to take some time to judge what has come before and accept what has come, accept what was, and watch as it unfolds and transforms and renews itself in the face of the moon. That we have this fear or challenge around heart-mind, that maybe we don't know how things are going to turn out, and that we can't see right now our connection exactly with the divine and with the earth. But if we come into that place of fear, if we come into that place of unknowingness, be aware that the divine has got the handle here, that there is this blank space, and it's a blank page for any person to write upon or draw upon or paint upon. You have a completely blank slate here. It's the infinite possibility that exists for you. The same way in the darkness of the moon, sometimes it's easier to see. Like if you have the shining moon on things, you have shadows. But if you have no moon, you get to see more clearly, like an owl or like a cat in the night. So for those of you who chose the Rhinestone Brooch, this has been your reading for the first day of 2024. I hope that you have an ability to embrace things that are and transform them and discern what is worthy of holding on to, what to let go of, and start afresh with your blank slate coming into the new year. I wish you a very, very happy, I guess it's a Rosh Hashanah, but it's a secular Rosh Hashanah. So very happy New Year to you. And we will see you soon in the new year. Hello, pile number 2, my disco friends. So for those of you who chose the disco ball, maybe you've had a good party or are planning on hosting some more parties this year. We have the mirror ball, which I love. It's a great symbol for so many reasons, because it has this infinite sparkle and glow and glitter, and it brings about the idea of dancing and parties. But also there's a million mirrors here, right? You can see, not a million, but hundreds of mirrors that you can see yourself and the fractals and the fragments of self in it. And also what is around you. The mirrors give us this option of reflecting back to us all the different facets and faces of that which surrounds us. And I love that with the disco ball. So we're going to use this today as our guide into our reading. I'm going to set that off to the side. And we're going to take out our bowl of decks and shuffle it up and see which deck is the right deck for you today. One just jumped straight out. Okay, well, there it is. Let's see which one it is today. And we have the Dreamtime reading cards. All right, let me go grab that deck and I'll be right back. All right, this is the Dreamtime reading card oracle, and it's from Laura Bowen from Australia. And let's shuffle them up and see which card wants to give you a message for today. Kind of large compared to the last deck I had. They're quite large. Shake them up. See who comes out. Okay, here it is. Let's turn it over and see what we have today. We have, wow, lightning change. Wow. I love that with regards to the disco ball, because it's got that shininess, that bright lightning idea as it glitters, as it spins. So I'm going to read about it here in the book about the Dreamtime reading cards. So lightning or change is about elemental extremes. We experience periods of drought and flooding, and often summer begins severe thunderstorms with magnificent flashes of lightning and often hail as well. These storms come with very little warning, seeming to spring from nowhere. Lightning, spectacular as it is, can also be deadly. In Australia's harsh climate, it often sparks bushfires that burn destructively through the undergrowth, devastating flora and fauna. Lightning represents change, the kind of sudden change that can easily catch you off guard. Lightning strikes with power and precision, and it can change everything it strikes in a second. It often symbolizes a change you didn't see coming. Lightning isn't always negative, though. It also provides flashes of inspiration and creativity as it lights up the storm clouds around it. It can offer clarity in the midst of a personal storm. Lightning asks you to use your own personal power wisely to ensure you direct your own energy where it is needed most, and to use the flashes of inspiration and creativity when they become available to create things of beauty and purpose. Power is not something you should use to harm another, inflict pain, or dominate those around you. Lightning asks you to be sure of your motives are coming from a good and positive place. Lightning change. All right, well, that's spectacular for the beginning of a new year. Let's pull out some Hebrunes as well to see what other messages we're getting for you for the new year. I'm trying to decide what to do here. I think I'm going to move lightning off to the left, and we'll set our glittering, shining disco ball right on top of it. I'm going to pull out 3 Hebrunes today to see what is the present, the challenge, and the advice or future for this year for you. At the top, we have the letter Zayin. Wow, okay. Also representative of lightning. Change is coming for you. And we have the Yud in the center. And at the bottom, we have the Lamed. Okay, wow, fascinating. All right, starting at the top, we have the letter Zayin. And the letter Zayin is the letter that represents a sword or a scepter or a bolt of lightning. It's affiliated with the month of Sivan, which is the month in which we receive Torah. So when Moses went up to Mount Sinai, there was thunder and lightning, and people could hear the storm brewing, but it brought about learning in Torah. It brought about the word of the divine. So this is all about power, sovereignty, And it's also a completion, which is interesting. It's the number 7 in Gematria, and to that end, it represents the 7 days of creation. So the 7th day, being the final day of creation, represents this completion. So we have something that's just come to an end, and maybe 2023 we're talking about here. Something has come to an end or is about to come to an end, is coming to an end right now. Some kind of powerful thing. There's been this lightning strike. There's been some kind of sword or scepter. Maybe you are grasping your own personal sovereignty. Zion represents the 7th day of creation, as I said, so it has this connotation of Shabbat as well. So both the power of the Shekhinah, the bride of Shabbat, as well as the completion and ability to take rest now that creation has finished. There is this sense of magic that comes with the Zion, because 7 is considered a lucky number in many, many cultures. And it also has to do with the sense of smell, which is really interesting, because whether you've been in a lightning storm or not, I do not know, but there is this certain smell that is associated with lightning. Smell also evokes memory, so maybe there's something coming that's changing, but it's bringing about this specific smell, the smell of where to go next, the smell of memory that's like maybe even older than your physical body. Something is exciting and has lit up the night sky, and it's bringing about this power. I see Zion as corresponding to the Emperor card in tarot, so there's this idea of ultimate power, not just a king, not just a queen, but the emperor, like the one who rules over all. So there's definitely divine connection here with the Zion, but I see it as a personal power. So when I see Zion, I think of it as that grasping one's own sword or scepter, really owning your own sovereignty, coming into your own magic, and owning the thing that is being completed, owning the power that comes with Zion, that lightning strike of inspiration, and taking time to rest, and honoring the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence of the divine, which is where we get our power, inside from divinity. So that's what's up right now. Pretty exciting. Lightning, power, swords, scepters, sovereignty. That's for you right at this moment. The challenge in the center of our reading is the letter Yud, and that's really interesting also. The Yud is the 1 point. It's the smallest of all the letters in the alphabet. So it is this tiny seed, right? It's a sperm or a seed of potential that is happening after this lightning strike. Something has been planted. Some kind of seed has come down, but there's a fear around it. Like, we don't know what's coming. It's just so small. We have just this tiny, tiny spark, this ember that has maybe landed after the lightning strike. And maybe it's going to set things on fire, and maybe it's going to grow into something beautiful. Makes me think of the concept that in certainly North American tradition, sometimes the forests have to burn in order for some of the seed pods to open. So like a pine cone sometimes doesn't open until it's been in a forest fire, and then new growth can happen. So there may be fear around this spark that's happened, this fear around this seed that's been planted, this sperm. I'm thinking about it in sperm because it is the foundation of sexuality as well. The Yud in the Sefer Yetzirah corresponds to the foundation of sexuality. So there is this maybe spark of potential, this spark of growth. Something new is being planted, and there's fear around it, or some kind of concern. There's been some challenge around a new seed being planted. The Yud represents, for me, the Fool card in tarot. So a new beginning. Definitely something new is being planted. And there's been a lot of change and chaos that's happened before this. So it can be scary to have something new starting right after a really intense, chaotic moment. But it's here, and it's the first letter of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He, as well as the first letter of the word Yad, which means hand. So you've got your hand, you can use it for creation. You can use it to build something new, have some kind of artisanship or handiwork that's coming in. It's the number 10 in Gematria, so it has this connotation with the number 1 times 10. So we have 10 times the potential. In each seed there is an entire tree, and in each tree hundreds of fruits that could create hundreds and hundreds of seeds again. So this potential is just starting. This spark has just landed, and there's fear or challenge around it, understandably. But own your power. Reach up for your sovereignty. Know that that lightning strike comes from the divine. It comes from the sky. And that power is harnessable, that you have the ability to take it and harness it and use it for good. Interestingly, because Zion is connected with the number 7, it has this idea of luck. But the Yud itself is connected to the tribe of Gad, and Gad is considered the god of luck in some Semitic religions. So there's this idea of luckiness that comes with the fire, but also with the seed, even though it's a little scary to start something new in the wake of something quite elaborate, shining, lighting up, and striking very suddenly. So yeah, luck is here twice, once in a really powerful way and once in a kind of fearful way. But own that power, and you will be able to make it through to the final analysis, which is the letter Lamed. The letter Lamed at our bottom of our reading is the letter that represents hope. And you can see that it looks a little bit like a seed that has been planted and is now sprouting and also rooting down into the ground. Lamed is the first letter of the word Lev, which means heart, mind. So something is growing here. Lightning has happened, which often comes with rain. Seed has been planted, and in the near future we have this growth that's happening, this reaching up with heart toward the divine. The Lamed is the letter that is affiliated with the intestines in the body. You can see it looks a little bit like a digestive tract, where you take in things, digest them, your body absorbs the nutrition and releases the rest. So there's this feeling of being able to digest and absorb spiritual information, physical food, and also information that's coming to you from educational sources. So you have this potential for discernment. You have this ability to take in what you need to take in, release what isn't working for you, and also to learn and teach at this point, learning from what's come before, maybe learning from this lightning strike, and then turn around and teach it back to others who might be coming after you or need to learn what you've learned. Lamed is also the foundation of action, so it has this familiarity with the Yud as well, because the Yud is the Yad, the hand, and the Lamed is also action. So using your hands for action now that you have them, even if you're a little frightened about that seed that's been planted, it is a good time to move into action next. So the beautiful reading for those of you who chose the disco ball, who are out there enjoying the glitter and the glitz of the sparkles of the new year. Lightning is striking right now. Use that light, use that inspiration to grasp your own sovereignty, light it all up, and use your luck and your ability to tap into the Shabbat bride, the Shekhinah. Maybe take a little bit of a nap and then get up and start. Even if you're having fear around the seed that's being planted, even if you're having a challenge around connection with the divine, reach up with hope. Reach up with the Lamed. Reach up with aspiration and optimism toward the boundlessness of the potential of that seed. Even if that spark is questionable and you're not sure where it's landed or what it's going to produce in terms of fruit, know that the divine is here and that a sprout is coming, that things are being rooted right now, and that that's available to you if you can tap into your heart and mind right now. So for those of you who chose the little disco ball as your object today, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful first day of 2024, first week, and we will look forward to doing more of these in the near future. Shana Tova. Have a beautiful Rosh Hashanah, which is to say the new secular year, and we will see you here next time. Hello, object number 3, those of you who chose this rhinestone hair clip. I love this. I haven't worn it a whole lot, but I think it's quite old. It's got these little dangly dealy bobs both here and on the end. and it's quite sparkly, really gorgeous. And I love that it's got like the 3 different floral elements of large and lots of tiny, tiny little guys jumping off the ends here. And I believe it came out of a jewelry box that I inherited. So probably quite old. Looks like it's in relatively well made. So not one of those cheesy cheap ones you might buy, but one of the more elegant antique type rhinestone clips. So this is the first part of your reading is you've got something that's holding your hair back, and you've got something that's shining on your head. I'll set it off to the side here. That shining crown of glory in your hair that is maybe taming a little bit of the wildness. I'm thinking about Samson, who had got his strength in his hair, but before it was cut, he had the ability to just tame it a little bit. So let's pull out one of these slips of paper that's going to help us choose our deck that will give us further guidance into what's coming for you this first part of 2024. Let's see what deck wants to come out today. Okay. We have, our art oracles. Haven't used those in a long time. All right, I'm going to go grab those. I'll be right back. All right, here I am. So I have this deck of art oracles that each of the cards represents an artist. And we're going to shuffle them up and see which artist comes out, has a message for you today for the first part of 2024. Let's give it a go. This is the one I'm seeing sticking out here. All right, let's take a look and see who you have today. Pablo Picasso, nice. And this is what it says on the card. If nothing else, be prolific. Choose to have as many styles as you do lovers. Make something worth impersonating. Nice, Pablo Picasso. Beautiful. Let me see what the booklet says about Pablo Picasso as well. Pablo Picasso, Mr. 20th century art himself, has his blue and rose periods in turn of the century Paris, then changed modern art forever by popularizing cubism through geometric, crystallized, deconstructed paintings of friends, lovers, prostitutes, and the calamities of war. With Gertrude Stein's support, he also experimented with neoclassicism, surrealism, and sculpture. Picasso's many styles and superhuman prolificness stemmed from his belief that he'd live only as long as he worked. This belief must have had a clause about frequent adultery, as evidenced by Picasso's many tragic affairs. Today, Picasso is shorthand for what you'll see in a modern art museum's permanent collection. He was born in 1881 and he died in 1973. So that is our first message for the year, is be prolific and have a billion styles. One of the quotes that I love from Picasso is that inspiration comes, but you have to be working when it shows up. That's a great message to start the year with. Keep working, even if you feel stale or even if you're having difficulty figuring out what is the right style for the moment. Picasso really did revolutionize the way people see art. And he was an incredibly gifted artist in the traditional sense as well. He really mastered portraiture and still life art. I've seen some of his work before he went off into the modern direction, and it's quite spectacular. So it's not that he was just a artist who slapped paint around and did these very unusual things because he couldn't do regular art. He could do both. He did an entire career of very classical art and then shifted direction to keep himself alive. I love that for for you as an inspiration this year. And also this idea of this fractally rhinestone, the many facets of the possibilities that exist for creation. I'll go ahead and set this hair clip right on the painting. And we're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes today to give you a little further message about how this first part of 2024 may go and directions that you might take it. Let's see what we have for the present circumstances. We have this letter, the letter Samech. And what is our challenge or fear in our situation right now? We have the letter Tet. And what is our outcome and or advice for our situation right now? Let's take a look. Letter is Dalet. Okay. So starting at the top of our reading, the letter Samech is the letter that represents circles and seasons and wheels and time, and also thorns. So in the Sefer Yetzirah, each of the letters has a foundation, and the translation I read has the Samech representing the foundation of agitation, which I think is perfect. The ancient or Proto-Hebrew, it looked like a thorn. And so it has this irritability to it on some level, but it also goads us forward. So I think of Samech as being a wheel. You can see it has a little bit of a notch in the top. It looks like that vestigial thorn. But that thorn is also made up of the letter Yud. So it's like the divine is prodding us forward. The divine is goading us with agitation and irritability that maybe what we've been doing isn't enough. Maybe it's time to shift and turn that wheel towards something different and creative. It's also the letter that begins the word sovev, so being surrounded with protection, being surrounded with boundaries, maybe being surrounded with thorns to protect us in our creativity from those who would criticize us. Set up good boundaries, I think. Even if you are heading off in a new direction with your creativity, it's important to work within bounds. So you can just slap paint on paper, but it helps to have some edges. Otherwise, we can't tell where the art begins and where it ends. I don't know about as far as Picasso goes regarding his failed love affairs, but setting up good boundaries around that too, so that we can include and protect ourselves and the people who we love, rather than harming them if we decide to go outside the bounds, if we decide to go outside the edges. The letter Samech is affiliated with the right hand, and it's the tribe of Benjamin who is the son of the right hand. The right hand is frequently the dominant hand in drawing and painting, but not always. You can see Picasso using his right hand here to paint. But we can use our right hand, even creatively. We don't have to use it in our traditional sense. We don't have to go and start writing or drawing with our left hand, although that might be an interesting experiment. The right hand is often seen as the dominant hand and the powerful hand. The right hand of the divine is frequently seen as that which shelters over and protects us, the right hand of the divine. So however that resonates for you, set up some good boundaries, set up some protections, or receive the protection of the divine from the right hand. With regards to the tribe of Benjamin, Benjamin is seen as a ravenous wolf. We just heard this in this recent week's Torah portion when Jacob blessed the sons. Benjamin was Joseph's younger brother, and it is said in Torah that he is a ravenous wolf, and that has been interpreted in myriad ways. In Talmud, it is sometimes seen that Benjamin is a werewolf, so he transforms with the moon, and he might be dangerous, or it might be dangerous for him to not stay protected. I see that as showing up with the Samech. He needs protection because he is a wolf, not because he will harm others, but that others will take advantage and harm him when he is in his vulnerable state of transformation. So if you have transformation to do right now, this is the time when it's happening. under this moon that's happening. And as we transform and turn into the new year with this wheel that represents those cycles and seasons. I see Samhain as corresponding to the Wheel of Fortune in tarot. So something is changing, luck is changing, maybe your direction is changing right now. And we need to set up good boundaries and also listen to that agitation that's prodding us forward and giving us new direction to turn. The challenge or fear in our situation is the letter Tet. And the letter Tet is often seen as a basket or a womb or a cup, some kind of vessel that is holding goodness within it. Tet is the first letter of the word Tov, which means good or goodness. So it's containing something good in it. And there may be some fear around that. Maybe we're afraid that it doesn't contain good, that whatever we're doing is a bunch of garbage. But you can trust that it is if we set up our good protections and boundaries. Tet often is affiliated with the idea of gestation because it is this womb or cup. And it's the number 9, which represents the 9 months of pregnancy in the human body. So there's some kind of waiting maybe that's happening, some kind of gestation period where we are waiting to see what will be born. Now that we've set up our boundaries, now that we're feeling that agitation and that irritation to move forward, we have a waiting period. And sometimes waiting is really, really hard. Tet also is sometimes seen as affiliated with the snake. You can see it looks a little bit like a snake with its little head here and its tail curled up and around, or the basket that holds the snake. The snake's all about transformation. Snake is all about shedding its skin and moving forward. Snakes often get a bad rap in Torah, but they're also, not only are they the thing that tempted Hava in the garden, but they are the thing that is used by Moses to heal folks with that bronze serpent that he holds up for people to gaze upon when the seraphim come and start to sting them. So snakes have this transformative quality. They have the ability to shed their own skin and to transform other things into health and healing. So think about, even if it's challenging to do this transition, even if it's challenging to wait the gestation period, know that there's goodness within. Know that the snake, although it could be frightening, is also transformative, and it's time to shed that skin and move forward into something new, like Picasso perhaps, and get a new perspective on things. And our outcome letter in this particular reading is the letter Dalet. And Dalet is a doorway. It is seen as a portal or a passageway through which we must travel in order to find a new place, to find our new next thing. The word dal means poor, so it can be that there's a little bit of humility involved here. I know that Picasso was quite full of himself, but we need to find our humility here. I think that's the message in the terms of what our advice is here. It's also the binary transformation of wisdom and foolishness. So how can we move through the doorway in a way that is wise? That we're not just bashing the door open or knocking it down, but wisely stepping through with the divine by our side, with the divine here with us. There are mezuzahs on doorways that help us remember the divine as we step through. So maybe it's time to really concentrate as you step through into a new iteration, is to bring the divine with you. Really focus on and ask for guidance as you step through the doorway. Dalet is the number 4 in Gematria. And so it has to do with the 4 directions and the 4 seasons and the 4 elements and the 4 letters of the name of the divine. So take a moment as you step through the doorway to see what direction to go, to really think about what elements are going to assist you as you step through that doorway, to think about what direction to move and what season that we're stepping from. We're basically stepping from one part of the year into a new part of the year, from the old year into the new year, and we're just starting the new season of winter. So think about how those things are impacting your creativity, your decisions, your moving forward here. I correspond the Dalet to the death card in tarot, and death is not necessarily this literal death, but a transformation, some kind of transformation that has taken place, and we need to use that portal to get to the other side. Maybe we have been stung by the snake. Maybe we have been bitten, and that it's time for us to transform into a new thing. Maybe there's been a death, either literal in our lives or metaphorical with our choices. Maybe we're moving from one place to another, certainly through a doorway. To embrace that ability to step through the doorway, to know that the divine is with us as we walk through. So there is some transition happening here, that even if it's difficult to see it with the Tet, maybe the gestation is taking too long, we don't like it. Maybe that wheel is turning, but we're not seeing the outcome yet. The doorway is coming. This is the near future. This is the advice. Step through the doorway when we see it. When the divine shows you the door, walk through it. Maybe be wise as you walk through it. Don't go rushing through, not thinking about what might be on the other side of it, but do take the time to discern what to carry with you, what elements are going to be the most useful for you, and allow yourself to remain open like a doorway. Allow yourself to remain open to whatever presents itself as you step through. So for those of you who chose this beautiful faceted clip, it almost looks like a comet going off through the sky. Remember to stay protected right now. Remember to set up good boundaries, but also let that wheel turn. Let that wheel turn so that you can find your way. Allow the agitation to drive you forward into the new direction. If you're having difficulty with the gestation, if you're having difficulty seeing what's good in the transition, know that it's there, even if you can't see it, even if it appears to be a snake. Know that snakes can also bring about healing and transformation. And when you are shown the door, step through it. Step through it with humility and with wisdom. But do step through and find your direction as you step through into the new year, as you walk ahead. I wish you the very best for 2024. Shana Tova, which is to say Happy New Year of the secular New Year for this Rosh Hashanah that we're entering into right now. And we'll do a lot more readings this year. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you here soon.